Congressman Cuellar has denied that he did anything wrong, and tonight he is my source in his first CNN interview since receiving that pardon. And thank you so much, sir, for being here. I think one question people have is they see President Trump, a Republican, has pardoned a House Democrat. Do you know why President Trump pardoned you?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the president for pardoning my wife and I, because I really feel that this was a weaponization. And I'll talk about that, but I am certainly grateful to the president, but I'm also very grateful to God because he stood with us during a very difficult time. And I don't wish this situation on anybody.
Do you know why, though, the president chose to pardon you? Obviously, it's not typical that, a president would pardon someone from a different party. Usually they do ones from their own party.
Well, again, the president did that. I trust his judgment definitely on this pardon. And I thank the president for doing that because, again, I will say it again. There was weaponization, and I'll explain it. Look, we during the discovery, we got to look at every testimony, even the grand jury testimony. Can't talk about it, but I can say we looked at all the testimony. Not a single witness ever said there was quid pro quo. There was, we think, we suspect, but none of the witnesses said there was quid pro quo. What the Department of Justice did is they went on a speaking indictment. And remember, an indictment is just allegation. It's not a conviction on it. And if they felt so sure about the case, let me say this, why would they try to do an entrapment and a sting operation, involving myself and my congressional office in D.C.? Why would they do that? A failed operation that they did. And certainly, I looked at the testimony, the transcripts. They violated the Constitution. Those prosecutors, when they say you can indict, as the old saying says, you can indict a ham sandwich. I saw what they did. And again, it was wrong what they did. And in fact, I asked, the House committee, let me just say this. I asked the House committee that maybe this is something that they should investigate, those prosecutors and their superiors.
Well, and Congressman, I do want to note for everyone watching who maybe hasn't been paying close attention to this, a consultant of yours and your former campaign chairman did plead guilty here and entered cooperation agreements on this very matter. When you say that there was no evidence or no quid pro quo. But on that front, I did read that you have said that you would like to see the people who investigated you to be investigated. Is that something you want Jim Jordan to do, or who exactly are you looking for to do that?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that at the later time as to who I asked in the House to investigate, and they should be investigated because of what they did. Number one, number two, the 2 aides. I feel bad for them because we saw the testimony. We saw when they were questioned by them, and we saw how their testimony shifted and the pressure that they were put on. And quite honestly, I think their attorneys gave them bad advice, but they pled guilty. I think they should have not pled guilty on it. But again, we looked at all that testimony, those 2 witnesses that you talked about, and they never said there was quid pro quo. They said they thought or they suspected, but they never said there was a quid pro quo that they based it on personal knowledge. And if the department felt so sure, why would they then try to boost their case by doing a sting operation, a failed entrapment that they did?
But this, I should note, this Justice Department also was going to continue this case. They removed some of the charges that were initially made against you when President Biden was in office. But initially over the summer, this Trump Justice Department visited this case and was going to continue pursuing it. And you've said you believe that the Justice Department is weaponized against you. Do you believe that the Trump Justice Department was also weaponized against you?
No. This was a case that got started under the Biden administration. I try to work with the Biden administration on border security. And Caitlin, let me say this. I tried really, really hard to work with them because I live at the border. I understand the border. I don't just come visit the border once in a while. And what they were doing, the open borders, was wrong. And I spoke against it when I saw that they had a mindset of having open borders. I spoke on it. And in fact, I looked at how many times I spoke against the Biden administration on open borders, and not counting the local media, it was over 150 times national TV, probably on CNN more than once.
Yeah, and I know that you've
And I
accused
have to
them
say, yeah,
of
and
prosecuting you,
let me
sir.
just finish. Let me just finish. And again, I looking at the evidence, I feel that it was weaponization on it.
Right, but they also prosecuted other Democrats. I mean, they prosecuted the president's son. They prosecuted Eric Adams. They prosecuted Bob Menendez. You weren't the only Democrat who was singled out and prosecuted. And you're right, an indictment is simply an allegation. But I want to ask you about this pardon, though, because you said you were completely surprised when the pardon came down from President Trump. He did include a letter from your two daughters in November who basically appealed to the president by saying, when he went through prosecution and he was facing his challenges, they said, we understood that pain in a very human way. Did you know that your daughters were lobbying the president and asking for him to take this action and take this step?
Come on, Kayla, without due respect. Look, don't call it lobbying by my daughters. Please use another word, please. Look, I know my daughters, you know, they like, can I finish, please? And look, if you get to ask a question, just give me the courtesy of finishing. I'd love to come back on your show, but you gotta just give the courtesy, Caitlin. I love your show, but you gotta give me the courtesy. Don't say lobbying. My daughters love their mom and dad. My two daughters, beautiful young daddy, smart daughters, intelligent young women, just like you. They saw mom and dad go through a very difficult time, and they wrote the letters on their own for mom and dad. So I know they wrote the letters. I know that. But, you know, when I found out, I was surprised. I was walking from one meeting to another meeting, and a reporter asked me what I thought about the pardon. I thought they were talking about the pardon of the president of Honduras, because I had just talked to somebody about that. But they said, no, it was your pardon. And that's how I found out. But again, please do not use lobbying by my daughters.
Well, I was saying that they were appealing to the president for this action to happen. That's what I interjected there. But did you have any conversations with anyone on the president's team or in his orbit about taking this action?
No, I have not talked to the president about the pardon. I will be, I'll tell you, I will be at the White House Christmas party like I am. You know, I go to every president's Christmas party. I think it's next week, and I intend to thank him personally, thank the president for the pardon for my wife and I. And again, I don't wish this on anybody. The Department of Justice is called the Department of Justice. They should seek justice, and they should not be seeking trophies.
One question people had after this pardon came down, sir, was whether or not you were going to change parties, if you were going to become a Republican. You told reporters that yesterday that your answer is no, that you're staying a Democrat. Is that right?
That is correct. Look, I'm a Democrat. I'm a conservative Democrat. The lefties have spent millions of dollars against me because they think I should be purified and look like them. Without due respect, I represent my district. I follow the words of President LBJ when he said many years ago, I'm an American, I'm a Texan, and I'm a Democrat, in that order. And I think I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you go represent your party, Democrat or Republican, you're doing a disservice to your community. You should go represent your community. Yes, I'm a Democrat, bipartisan. Look forward to, you know, any way I can work with the president. I want every president, President Trump, or whoever the president might be, I want the president to succeed, because if the president succeeds, the country succeeds.
Can I ask you, given Democrats want to retake the House majority next fall, do you believe that if Democrats are able and they're successful in doing so, that you'll be able to conduct rigorous oversight of the president if he's the one who granted you this pardon?
Of course. Look, I sit on appropriations, and I think one of the most important things that we do, I'm a senior member of the House Appropriations, is to provide oversight. Definitely provide oversight. And in fact, I've talked to some of the administration about, you know, some of the things, for example, on, you know, immigration. Do I feel that we ought to deport criminals? Absolutely. Do we feel that we ought to deport people that are national interests? Absolutely. Do we think that we ought to deport people that have final deportations? Yes. But if you are somebody that doesn't have a criminal record or working, and those ICE rates when they go after people that have no criminal record, that affects people that are trying to provide food on the table. But they also help the local economies. So yes, the question is, I want to work with the president. I want to work with the administration. And if I think that they should adjust policy, certainly I'll speak up.